Why our head can't get the same shape this afternoon?
Now only my own different from the matter.
Guys, you are live already. Please, I am muting all. Okay, hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Jerry Adeshewo, and I have the pleasure to welcome you to another edition of Holding Talks. I mean, a lot of people, when they get to hear the name Holding Talks, actually would think that we are talking about an Olarotimi play. But Holding Talks is an interactive theater engagement. And this is the 8th edition. Even though we skipped the 7th, even though we skipped the 5th, which edition that? We skipped the 7th edition due to an unfortunate situation that happened here on Wednesday. The meeting room was attacked by hackers, and pornographies were posted in the meeting room just as we are here now. And we started seeing Caucasians and some foreign guys, throwing pornographies around. So we quickly shut down the meeting and rescheduled that edition for next week, Wednesday. So this is the 8th edition in lieu of that 7th edition, which we postponed till next Wednesday. In the meantime, this session happens every Wednesday and Saturdays at the moment, every Wednesday and Saturday at the moment. So this edition, let me quickly acknowledge the presence of two very distinguished persons in our midst. I mean, those that on a normal day, we should be looking at how to break the bank to bring them, before us. But here they are in the house with us. We have the playwright, incidentally, the playwright of ANGST, Oga Austin Awulonu, is in with us, but I think he is still trying to sort out his audio. I can see he's with us already. And of course, we have my own president, my own chairman, and my own Egwon in the house. I mean, a writer, a politician, and most importantly, an economic and political analyst, Mr. Tope Fasua. We have both of them in the house with us, and others, I am sure, would join us. What are we doing here today? We in the last 2 years, we have been involved in a project by MacArthur Foundation and CTAD, where so far we have used 2 plays, The Wheel by Ken Saro-Wiwa and Angst by Austin Awulonu, to create awareness about anti-corruption, accountability in governance. I mean, as all of these things help contribute to the delivery of good governance in Nigeria and probably beyond. So what we are doing today, which is where COVID-19 has reduced us to, we have been locked down, but we refuse to be locked out. That's why we are using this platform today for this engagement. We'll be reading a short portion of the play, after which we would engage with our 2 distinguished guests in the house, in the person of Oga Austin Awulonu, and of course, Mr. Tope Fasua. Very quickly, I would want to invite the cast of the play, Angst. We have in the house Ezra Boboy Ibrahim and Israel Isaac Udochukwu, who played the 2 leading roles in the play when they were staged live. And so I am going to unmute the 2 of them now, and then they will take us through. We are not reading the entire play. Augustine is here and he can bear me witness. If we have to do that, it will take us about an hour plus, but we have extracted some interesting aspect of it, which speaks to the issue we want to look at today. And what is that issue? Accountability and transparency in governance. Those are the 2 issues we are looking at today with the help of Mr. Tope Fasua and Mr. Austin Awulonu, who wrote the play in the first place. So I'm going to unmute Israel and Ezra to take us through the excerpt of angst. Thank you, and enjoy. And we'll discuss at the end of this. Ezra, you're muted.
Thank you, sir.
Isaac, you're muted. Here we go.
So, Adrian, are we good to go?
Yes, I am.
I have more important things to contend with. By the way, have you heard the news?
That? Who hasn't?
So, what do you think?
When shall we get out of this rotten decay?
The blighters. I mean, why do you have to bring this up?
I thought you should know if you didn't already.
Who doesn't know? The papers have been awash with it these past weeks.
Good to know you are shifting from your principal position of not reading the newspapers.
No. That's not exactly correct. But really, why do they? I mean, what do they gain from it?
Don't ask me.
But I do. I just did. I asked you.
Don't land me in trouble.
Oh, come on. Savor the gains of democracy.
You see?
What?
That is where you miss it.
Miss what?
The point.
What point?
The point of democracy.
How?
Democracy is not synonymous to recklessness.
Yes. You have your say, even if you cannot have your way. Why do they do it?
Why do they do it?
Mm-hmm.
Big question. Real big question.
Thank you.
Why does the land thief call the landowner thief? I mean, why does an insane man call a sane man mad? Why?
Why do they do it?
Yes, now. Yes, that's the big question.
With a simple answer, really.
What?
Attack is the best form of defense.
Tell me more.
They are guilt now.
Guilt?
Yes, you heard me.
What guilt?
See for yourself.
Professor.
Your Excellency.
What a surprise.
How, Your Excellency?
I never believed when I was told you had requested to see me.
But Your Excellency, why?
It was only when you proposed your letter that I took them seriously. Even then, I had my doubts. I didn't know your handwriting before then.
Oh, you see, the truth is you cannot perpetually stay outside to see inside.
You're one. That is correct. But beats are beats, and we must all do different beats.
True, Your Excellency, very true. That's your broadcast, sir. I mean, it was quite beautiful.
Really? Oh, thank you. Thank you very much, Professor.
It was quite nice.
I feel like I'm in school again. Like I have just passed an examination. I am sorry if my excitement embarrasses you. You know we are not very used to this in governance. I'm glad you are positively disposed to the call, considering your expressed position on our presence in government. This calls for celebration.
However, sir, Your Excellency, I, however, think that you made a mistake in being categorical on the issue of handing over power. Your Excellency?
Professor?
Your Excellency, sir.
How can you say that when in fact
welcome to the world of rulership. You see, the shuffle tumble plains of politics, Your Excellency.
What do you mean, Professor? What do you mean?
Your Excellency, sir. You see, a coup is easy enough for rulership, but rulership is another thing entirely. You see, in your brass hat, jackboot, cock and shoot world, things are straight enough for the simple-minded. But it is not so in the convulsive world of politics and rulership.
Professor, the more you talk, the more I am amazed at your reaction.
How?
We are not trained for politics per se. In fact, once we stem the drift towards anarchy, we march back to the barracks quick time.
Your Excellency, after
Yes.
you restore law and order, stabilize the polity, and return to the barracks, so tell me, what will happen?
I don't understand.
Your Excellency, what will take over? Your Excellency?
I find your opinion in the newspapers completely different from that which you now express.
Your Excellency, you see, indeed yours. Yours, Your Excellency, is a military mind, a mind devoid of the cryptic dialectic of political trouble and the complications thereof.
What do you mean?
What you call different opinions, sir, is actually the one and self same thing.
Haba, Professor, haba.
Your Excellency, see, whereas I am irrevocably opposed to military governance, consensually, I abhor in its totality the reign of anarchy. By the way, Your Excellency, have you considered your position in history?
Yes. How do you mean?
How would people know how will people know the various contributions you are making in national life today, tomorrow? Your Excellency? Your Excellency, sir.
Yes.
As I said, how will people know the various contributions you are making in national life today, tomorrow?
Come out with it, Professor. I'll be lying if I say I understand.
Your Excellency, you need to have your actions appropriately documented in a biography that could be included in the school curriculum.
That sounds very nice. In fact, I think it would be nice. But Professor, who will write it?
Your Excellency, sir, I am a professor for crying out loud.
Yes, but not a professor of literature or English, Professor.
Your Excellency, sir, if after all my years in academia, I cannot string sentences together, then my professorial chair should be withdrawn.
I am sorry, Professor. I'm sorry. You misunderstood me. Okay. How soon can the book be ready?
Your Excellency, sooner than you think, Your Excellency. See, as soon as funds are available, sooner than you think.
You leave that to me, okay?
Yes, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, sir.
Yes.
This brings me to the crux of the tryst of national significance.
Which is?
You see, the time I fixed for the handing over is too short for the socio-political re-engineering requisite to ushering in a true and lasting democracy.
So what do you advise?
Do what has to be done, sir.
Which is?
A rethink will do us good, Your Excellency.
That will mean a shift in the dates.
Shift the date, sir. Shift the date.
Do what?
If Your Excellency, sir, is mindful of the place in history, shift the date, sir.
Professor.
Your Excellency, sir. Your Excellency, sir.
I am afraid you know so much theory of politics, but very little practice of it.
Huh?
Did you read the papers this morning?
Oh, yes, Your Excellency. You see, it is my concomitant habit to read all national dailies daily.
And you advise as you do?
I so do, sir.
Professor.
Your Excellency, sir.
Professor.
Your Excellency, sir.
Prof.
Your Excellency, sir.
You so do?
I so do, Your Excellency.
Professor.
Your Excellency.
Okay. Professor, what do you think will happen? Huh?
I don't understand.
I mean, if I do as you so do, what do you think will be the result? What will happen? What will you do about the spontaneous demonstrations and riots that will follow? Huh? Professor, tell me.
Your Excellency, sir, you forget our antecedents also. You forget that there is nothing like spontaneous demonstrations or riots.
You mean?
You see, we who know how spontaneous they are also know how to handle that.
You don't say.
Oh, yes, I do say. Your Excellency, politics is more engaging than most people realize. First, you enter politics, then politics in turn enters you. But in between those two pillars, a whole lot of reaction cascade through you in a run-on fashion that even the best lyricist cannot copy. You see, for some, it births frustration, from which derives such hacking cliche like, I cannot go against the wishes of my people. When my constituency moves, I follow. Vox populi, vox dei, etc., etc. Ad infinitum. You see, for others, sir, it birthed slavery. The principle they held sacred and aspired to turn round to hold them down in an unloosening hold of tyranny that turns them into critics for the sake of criticism, comparable only to a long playing record with enormous cracks. You see, for yet another group, sir, it births that particular non-stoicism that says all without saying anything. That languid impassivity that comes from dashed hopes and unfulfilled dreams, which turns them to Sidon Lucas. Your Excellency?
Professor?
Your Excellency, sir.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir.
Very good. I hope you will not turn me down. Huh?
Your Excellency.
Haven't listened.
Your Excellency.
Professor?
Your Excellency.
Yes, I said haven't listened to you. I have a request to make.
Feel free, Your Excellency. You see, make 3, 20, any amount, sir.
It is one, just one, Professor, just one.
Okay, well.
Contribute your quota to the development of the fatherland by making yourself available for service as the special advisor to the head of state on political affairs.
If my country needs my service, who am I to say no? If there were no country, where would we be? You see, it is my privilege. I heartily accept the offer, Your Excellency. It is from what we have that we get what we want.
But
Excellency, Your Excellency.
As an absolute surprise to a lot of people, given your principled stand that you'll never serve under a military government.
This is a government with a difference. You see, at any rate, I never really said what you said I said. Records are there for anyone who cares to verify these things. You know, sometimes you say one thing and people understand it differently. You mean it one way and they interpret it in another way.
But you are serving in this government, sir.
I have already told you that this government is different.
The difference, sir. What is the difference, sir?
Listen, Mr. Reporter, I would hate to waste the precious time of our compatriots stating the obvious.
Sir, how would you react to the heightened feeling of insecurity across the country?
See, this is the handiwork of anti-government forces masquerading themselves as Democrats, but in reality are misguided anarchists bent on fomenting trouble in their fatherland. And this is with the active connivance with their foreign backers. In fact, you see, The government has uncovered a grand plan by this coalition of democracy-mouthing anarchists to cause massive killings among their membership and blame it on the government. You see, every law-abiding citizen has nothing to fear as security forces have been placed on red alert.
Sir,
Correction.
this issue of appointment and lobbying once and for all.
Correction, please. I have never been against this government. I have no reason to be. To be against this government is to divide the country, and I am a firm believer in the unity of the country. Okay, to your question that you asked, do I look like someone who will go begging for an appointment? Let me say for the optimum time, I do not go where I am not invited. You see, I do not intrude. I do not butt in. I do not encroach. I did not lobby. I did not beg. I have never lobbied for anything. I was simply invited to serve my country, and I took it. I took the opportunity because it is a rare privilege and a lifetime opening.
Bad guy. Prof. Consistent double speak.
You sound like them with your acute word economy.
What do you mean?
It is the practice to blame the coach each time a game of soccer is lost. But little wonder what a coach can do to help the player tuck the ball into a yawning net when everybody is beating at the match. Bros.
Parables.
Bros, are you there?
I said you are talking in parables. Can you hear me?
Calm down. See, the point I make is that, like football, rulership is a collective business. Every Hitler will have his fair share of Himmlers. No matter how despotic the ruler is, you will find there are always his Aarons and Halls, those who hold up his tyrant hands to sustain his repressive rule. In every age, these vermin claw down the people only to disappear, hibernate when the going gets tough, and pronto reappear in an dawning.
Guy, are you there?
I am there. I'm here.
See, all these things that you are saying, and whatever you say, do remember that on easy lies the head that wears the crown.
That precisely is the problem. You see, hear yourself. On easy lies. See, every dispensing on easy lies the head that wears the crown. Bros, hear yourself.
So why the outburst?
Because it is such traditional doctrine that incapacitates us in spite of us.
So what exactly is the problem?
Okay. On easy lies the head that wears the crown presupposes that on the crown wearer lies the responsibility of moving us forward, Abi.
Mm-hmm. Can you hear me? Hello, guy. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I say it is that same supposition. It is that same supposition that has held us hostage for all this long.
How?
Because in looking at the crown wearer, follow me.
Yes. I follow you.
Good. In focusing on him, in exclusively focusing on him, we are unmindful. You see, we are oblivious. We forget his lieutenants who seizing the opportunity of our concentration and attention on the crown wearer make hay for themselves at expensive.
uh,
Check am.
hey, and, here I am. You dipped your hands into my pocket, removed my money, and yet I did not know.
Simply because your mind, your wit, your attention, your being was completely fixed on something else.
Hey, bad boy. Come on here. Just imagine that money was more than it is. Are you there? Imagine that money was actually more than it is. So much more that it ran into many millions. Imagine also that he was not as honest as he is, such that he was not disposed to hand me back what was mine. Are you there? Are you there?
I am there,
Again,
my brother.
imagine that there were investment opportunities, and the crook that he is intelligent enough to invest such that that money grows beyond measure. Then further imagine that the chance comes for a community development project. Are you there? And equipped like this with mint fresh notes, he performs. He performs, for God's sake. Soon after that comes election. Smart as he is, he does not run for the crown, but he is visible enough to return in this climb and time as a special advisor or special assistant, minister for or minister of, director general or managing director of this or that parastatal, chairman of this board or that board, or an ambassador, or look, always run for the lieutenant in every era. You doubt it?
How can no? How can one?
Do you doubt it?
How can one, when one is not blind or impervious to reason? No, otherwise, why is it that those in government are those around government who have always been in government, who those around government who will now always remain and be around government? Yeah? See, the truth of the matter is, any civilian who accepts to sit in a military government is as military as the uniform man. Moreover, the head of the rattlesnake may not be as deadly as it is if you consider the amount that will be returned by some lieutenants.
Hey, yes, so like the good book says, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks.
The good man out of his good treasures brings forth good gifts.
And the mouth of his loot brings out a token, and his sins are forgiven.
His sins are forgiven,
and his sins are forgiven. See, you cannot give what you don't have, irrespective of the costume you don't. Yet, you must not forget that some of them are blackmailed into acceptance.
Wait, what was that? No, how did they come by the skeleton by which they were blackmailed? A man without principle is a man without backbone.
True, but a principle-ruled man is like a man with steel for backbone.
What do you mean?
The only time he bends, he breaks.
No. You forget that a man who will not stand for something will fall for anything.
Professor, wallahi tallahi, the report here is most disturbing fact.
Your Excellency.
How can you make all that fine speech in the newspaper and allow all that money to disappear? Tell me.
Your Excellency, contingency for the rainy days. Contingency for the rainy days, Your Excellency, sir.
Minini, what are you talking about, Professor?
Your Excellency.
Niafaru, I am talking about the money we approved for you to execute the water project in your community, which has disappeared, and you are here talking about rainy days and contingency and so on and so forth. Dala, is that the umbrella you need for the rainy day, for the rain?
Your Excellency, in a manner of speaking, Your Excellency is not wrong.
What are you talking about, Professor? What are you talking about?
Your Excellency, sir, you see, there will always be rainy days in the lives of everybody, and we therefore have to prepare. I think it was one of your own who said, soldier go, soldier come, the barrack remain. Like you, Your Excellency, what do you intend to do after you retire?
I have not even thought about it.
Error, Your
You mean?
Excellency.
What do you mean?
That is the first thing we should have thought immediately you consolidated power. A man who gets out without securing his own base does not expect dinner when he returns.
Well, you're right, huh?
I
You're
know.
very, very right.
Yes, yes.
As a matter of fact, I have been thinking about it. It is just that one does not know whom to trust these days, hence my discretion. But you have shown yourself a faithful servant of the fatherland. In fact, never mind that, Abuna, the umbrella contingency, umbrella money contingency for the rainy day, or how did you put it?
However,
Are you there, Professor?
However you put it, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll overlook it. In fact, I hereby overlook it and appoint you super special advisor to the head of state. Your sole responsibility is to perfect how I will unanimously become the next unopposed civilian president so that we can absolutely prepare for even the tempests and storms and not just the rain.
Consider it done, sir.
Badu.
I see that you are not happy.
I have reasons not to be, sir.
That is understandable. But if you know the reason for my lateness, I believe you will not be so angry. No. My efficient friend, not just yet. Always work. Do you ever relax?
That is why I'm here, sir.
Oh, all right. You see, like I was saying, apart from offering advice to His Excellency, I was searching for a gift I bought you from Switzerland. I do not think it's too small. You know, we public servant must not be seen to be, you know what I mean. It's nothing. It's nothing.
Oh.
Oh. It is nothing actually. You know, I have always been interested in your career, right from the days I taught you in the university. And I must say, my dear friend, life has not been fair to you. I mean, with a second class upper, you are still struggling 10 years after graduation. You are still living in Motion, right? Is that not so?
Yes, Honorable.
Life has not been fair to you at all.
It is not my own making, you Honorable. I work hard enough.
I know, true you do. But what was it that Shakespeare said? The fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in
ourselves.
You see, you've always been the smart one, but in ourselves, my dear young man, in ourselves. You see, we are the product of our choices.
But
Listen to me. The good life also belongs to you. You should enjoy it. Live well. Send your children to the best of schools and all that and all that and all that.
On my meager salary.
Look at this one.
On my meager salary.
Look at this one. What's your problem? Who is talking about salary? All that can change if you see real. I mean, you can own your own newspaper. I mean, be your own boss. Now, grow up, my friend. Grow up. I am talking about now. Do you think I will be in this office for life? No, young man. Now.
But how, Prof? How?
Good. Now listen. Listen to me carefully. By doing stories that are less critical of the government. Look, all these pull him down stories have not achieved anything. It is not working. It won't work. Let us take it here. If there is anyone going down, that person has been you. Your career, your life. And I think I think you deserve better. That's if you understand what I mean.
I do. I see what you mean, sir.
You see what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Jesus. I mean, the corrosive spread of corruption.
That is how digestion goes.
Yeah, so it is like life. The first lie begets a second lie to convert the first lie, which in turn begets the third lie to cover the second lie, which in turn on its own begets the fourth lie to cover the third lie, and on and on and on until the first lie is forgotten, and all we know is
It's a lie.
yes. See, there is no stopping at stopping a determined people.
True. But are we determined?
We are. We just see if only. I don't know.
Yes. If only. If only we can momentarily rise above our hunger and look the lieutenants directly in the eyes and tell them to go to hell when next they come to buy our votes with money sandwiched in a loaf of bread.
If only we know how powerful and important that our vote is.
If only we can forget our dialects and idiolects and remember those things that hold us together.
If only we can recollect the wisdom of the broom.
Together we win, alone we lose.
Alone we lose.
So to cover the acts of yesterday, new ones are initiated today under different guises and agents to avoid the approaching hurricane.
Just like Prof is doing.
Yes, just like him. He left in a huff and straight to the board members. He went lobbying for the removal of the editor, but those ones knew where their bread was buttered and acted on the old dictum. I mean, you don't change a winning team. That was in spite of the huge bribe Prof offered them.
But look at it. The boy did his job very well.
Yes. And those board members stood up against.
If only our people can see.
How?
Their time is running out. What you are seeing now are the fitful to a dying horse.
Really?
Yes, but make no mistake about it. They are potent. Perhaps even more potent when the horse was alive. That is why we must be careful but persistent.
You are right. We must be watchful.
But are we?
What do you mean?
No. Just what I said now.
What is that?
Are you?
Am I?
Yes, are you?
Am I what?
Are you watchful? Are you watchful? It is so easy to say we, our people, the people. But how about you? How about me? What is our resolve? We can only make meaning because of me. So where do I stand?
Good question. What is your stand?
It is clear. The foul hands of yesterday's men and their minions must be shown up for what they are.
Enemies of the people. Enemies of democracy. Saboteurs of our collective destiny.
They must be exorcised from our national sight, like they are uniformed vampires masters of yesteryears.
Two, are you there?
Yes, I am. I said they must be exorcised from our national psyche, like they are uniformed vampires masters of yesteryears.
We, the people, must let them know.
Enough is
enough. Is enough. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We take a bow. We take a bow.
We are about the bow.
I really take a bow. Enough is enough. The crown and the crown wearer.
Viva.
The crown and the crown wearer. Mr. Jerry, sir. Mr. Jerry. Stay around.
Yes, Isaac, thank you so much for that wonderful Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Can you hear
we can.
me?
Yes, we can.
Hello?
Yes, we can. Can
can
hear
hear
you.
Okay, good. So now,
We
we
can
are
hear you.
moving very quickly. I recognize the fact that we have challenges with audio, and so we are moving very quickly. Now I am going to unmute Mr. Austin and Mr. Tope Fasua. Are you there? You're unmuted now, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
Hello?
you. I can hear you.
I can
Okay.
hear you. Can you hear me?
So thank you for your time. Let me start with Mr. Tope Fasua. And one very interesting aspect of this play is that it captures the reality of our time in terms of governance and all the shenanigans that happens in the political space. And being a political analyst, I don't know if you pay attention to this particular line, so I will repeat it again in the play, which says you cannot perpetually stay outside to see the inside, which is more like what we grapple with today, and we say the more you look, the less you see. What does that speak to in terms of the transparency and the openness that is expected in governance?
Yes, you mentioned only one line, even though you promised two lines. What's the second line?
No, I'll go to that later. I
Okay,
just
let's
want
do
to
this
take
one.
the
You see, that
yeah.
statement, that statement itself is loaded. And we hear it very often, good and bad.
Yeah.
People say they use it to encourage people to join politics, or not only to join politics, to join the ruling party, any ruling party. They say
Okay.
you cannot change the system from outside. You have to change it from inside. You have to get in first
Yeah.
and all of that. Now, this promotes a certain level of Philistinism in terms of people just looking out to take advantage any which way, because the bottom line is on, being part of the system, getting your hand on the booty. Now, well, what we have seen is a scenario where many people go in there and they are lost.
Yeah.
And we have so many people, some who have even been in civil society, some who have been anti-corruption people and all of that. But by the time they get on the inside, they become even worse than those people that they used to abuse, even when they were writers or columnists or editors or what have you. So it's a very, very interesting statement. It has many sides to it. Perhaps it is true that one may not be able to change from outside, but I think my own take is that for as long as you can remain on the outside, remain on the outside. God will help us. I don't know how we're going to change the country, but I think it's more dignifying and more honorable to be on the outside, even if you have to suffer. Be on the outside. The moment you get in, you lose. Especially if you get in and you realize that you cannot change them. Oftentimes, you also find out you cannot leave them. You see, because working in government to a large extent is it's not as easy as we think it is. In fact, from what I've seen, if, for example, from the writings of Ruben Abati, he did say that once you get into government,
Yeah.
you cannot just call and tell them you're not doing again. It's more like a cult. You cannot just call and say, Yoga, I'm dropping my letter. I don't know what they have on them. Some people, they have some dope on them. They will say, you go to town and show the world. But I also know that it is incredibly difficult with the way that they worship, for example, presidents in this country or state governors, that most
Yeah.
commissioners cannot even go to the state governor and say, okay, I don't like the thing you're doing, I have to leave. And most ministers, DGs and co, they dare not face the president and tell him they are leaving as well. So that's the way I look at that. It's a very loaded statement. I think it's more honorable for anybody that values their integrity to remain on the outside for as much as they can, If they're lucky, maybe something changes and then, but look at what we had in 2015. The group of people who positioned as radicals, as leftists and so on, who were in APC, they got the power, but how have they fared today? It's also debatable whether they are not worse than the people that they were criticizing.
And before I go to the second question, the second line, but exactly how has this impacted or impacted on good governance, especially with the issue of corruption that stares us in the face every now and then?
No, that statement has not impacted. Just as I've traced it, it has not impacted on good governance at all. Because what we have seen is just a case of people going there, joining them, trying, deceiving themselves that they are better off on the inside. But once you get in there, all you do is acquire your own things. There are many people who went into the House of Representatives, National Assembly in general, and people have come to be people like me and said, why don't you go in there? I said, I'm very clear what I want to achieve. This is not my dream because, okay, before COVID, what did we have? What we had was, those members of National Assembly trying to get an approval for 37 billion naira to refurbish their office. Now, is that the best we can do? Is that the best? Were they not imaginative enough to see that a day like this will come and that will be running up and down? There's no crude oil to sell, or you have to sell, nobody is buying and all of that. And the nation is going broke and the economy is going into a recession. So it's just very incredible. So how would I have fared, even if I could get into the House of Reps or the Senate? I would be one of those people seeking 37 billion, collecting their own SUVs, their own cars, and so on. Even sharing it in the middle of the COVID, and of course, positioning themselves to grab as much as possible. We're seeing a scenario where the country is being egged on, and God forbid that there will break down in law and order if people believe they'll get to the point where they say they can't take it anymore. So that statement has not helped us at all. I think we need something different, to know how do we get involved and continue to show sincerity until we can make the change. As it is right now, I don't even see any clear picture or any clear path that people can take in order to make a change in Nigeria.
Thank you, Mr. Tope. Mr. Austin.
I'm here.
Hello, Mr. Austin. Oh, okay, thank you. I mean, let me start by thanking you for gifting us this wonderful play. I mean, it captures the situation, even though it was written a couple of years ago. But permit me to have this very cliche-like kind of question. What were you thinking about? What were you thinking about when you scripted ANGST?
First, let me say a big to both you and Roger Theatre and the gentlemen who have done the reading. Thanks for the choice of ANGST for this purpose. Truth is, I wasn't thinking of ANGST at this time, and you guys just brought it one place you could have chosen that treats the same thing. So I'm grateful for that and I'm thankful. What was going through my mind when I wrote ANGST? Again, is you're forever contemplating society. As an artist, you're forever contemplating society. And you're observing things. You observe, your art is informed by your environment. And you are an artist in turn. So, in observing what was going on, you find it's so easy for people to say I'm different from the other person. But at the end of the day, when the chips are down, it's just different sides of the same coin. Like Tope was saying earlier on, and I thank him for his very, very informed comments. Can we say today that we are from before 2015? Can we say in reality that there is a different party in Aso Rock? That the administration, government is the continuum, but the players, party name is different, this is different, but the essence of what we see as governance has not changed. So it's that engagement with society, and it hasn't changed at any particular time. If you take your minds back to 1979, 1983 precisely, it was an election year also. What was it? Umaru Diko then said that there are only two political parties in Nigeria, the military and the civilians. The military and NPN, he said, you know, that was only two political parties. And it will interest you to note that in 1999, when this Fourth Republic came into being, literally half of those in governance were ex-military. The constitution we run on was given to us by military men. So really, really what has changed? And then what you find, but beyond that is those around government. You can name conscious of government have hovered around government. One of our learned jurists once said that, why is it that every rich person, I think that was around in the 80s or whatever, just or somebody, made a statement and said, why is it that every person who is a millionaire, who's rich, who's wealthy, is somebody who has either done business with government or done business with somebody who is around government? So you find that at any given time, this individual who hover around government, the party, whatever parties in the villa, they are in government. It used to be, remember back in the day, we used to talk about super permanent secretaries. And all of that have evolved over time. So the reality is, as you observe all of those things, we move from one form. We move from a prime ministership to the presidential system. We move there under the military. We come back to the presidential system. The same issues we have contended with are the same issues we are contending with. At the beginning of this republic, we were told all our problems because we had gone through military rule. It was the years of military rule that has caused us problems. We have done democracy for over 20 years. And yet, what have we seen? Has there been a change in reality, in the quantum of life for Nigerians? What is different? So those are the things that engage my mind. As you observe, it's not just, I think it was Mama Vasta who said, soldier go, soldier come, barracks remain the same if my memories don't fail me. Yeah. If that's that's what you find. Whether we are talking progressives, conservatives, radicals, activists, whatever, we've seen all of them. And the results we have gotten is the same thing.
All right, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, now, Mr. Tope, I am back to you. Mr. Tope, Fasua, sir.
I'm with you.
Okay, now the second line, it's a lengthy one, but if I start from the beginning, I'm sure you will get it. Where the character talks about in looking at the crown wearer. Crown wearer.
Yes.
Now, while we are looking at the crown wearer, we neglect what is happening with the other people. So that takes me to the issue of elective officials and appointed officials. I mean, talking about accountability, how effective have we been able to do that in this part of the world, considering that most of the time our target is either Buhari or Jonathan or whoever is elected, while those appointed, the lieutenants are used to, perpetrate evil, are in governance.
Well, that's great because without thinking, you're expanding the discussion around governance, and that's very, very important. See, these are issues that, as a people, we should engage ourselves with to a large extent. However, we haven't been able to do that as much. But at least let it start from somewhere. We start the discussion from somewhere. And, because there are many ramifications to governance. Okay, one of it is the man that is appointed. How much power does he wield? They say that Nigeria has the most powerful president in the world, that the sweeping powers that our presidents have is not available in other countries, including the United States. Okay, maybe that is true because the constitution that we have was drawn up by the military, and perhaps they added a lot of things there that will give almost a power of fiat to the leader. That is one aspect. The other aspect is also that who exactly wields power? That would depend on the kind of leader that we have. In the present scenario, we had a scenario where we had a very powerful COS of blessed memory, who basically ran a lot of things in Nigeria because he was afforded that power by the sitting president. Okay, he wasn't even an elected person. That's one. Then we have, so that means that if the leader decides to cede his power to any of his lieutenants, of course, it's still the responsibility of that leader at the end of the day. However, it pans out because he's the one that was elected by the people, is the one in whom we have imbued our trust. That's one. However, there's also the problem of what happens in the national government as against the subnational, which is the state and local government. Why do we put everything on the president, for example? Okay, there's little even gets said about the state governors, even though they are even closer to the people. The local government, we understand that that is actually very dead anyway, because for some reason, that aspect of Nigeria's constitution was suspended. There's nothing is known, nothing is written about caretaker committees in our constitution. The concept of caretaker committee is unknown to our constitution. And that was why, and if you look at Nigeria now, perhaps up to 30 states in this country have refused to do their election of local government chairman until this COVID thing came. And the governors have just appointed those whom they like, who are their boys. You know, very few women are appointed at that level, who are mostly their boys into those positions. These are people who were not elected by the people, and they're the people that are governing closest to the people. So the people that are governing closest to the people are unknown to the people who should have, elected them in the first place. Okay, so that makes it an anomaly, and of course, that should be also responsible for the dislocation in governance in Nigeria. All right. So, but at the state level, we don't even charge the governors as much as we should. The governors leave, most of them, they leave as emperors, and of course, they come to Abuja. They take all that money every month. I'm not sure. I think I saw a statement of account, audited account, published by Kaduna State government. Sometimes maybe the people in Lagos, they try to do that in the Fasua days they used to. Subsequently, we don't see that level of transparency anymore. When I do my research, I get to a place like South Africa. If you Google the budget of Johannesburg City, as I'm speaking right now, you will see it there in PDF. Not talk of the budget of South Africa, even their statement of accounts. South Africa is an incredibly transparent country. Even in this COVID, just 2 days ago, I had cause to see a report or a daily report done by South Africa on this COVID issue. And they said, listen, yesterday we did X number of tests. We found X number of new people and we lost 2 people. And the people we were lost are number 1, a 59-year-old man who had cancer or whatever. A 70-something-year-old man who had diabetes. I mean, I said, that is transparency. You come to Nigeria and it's as if we abhor transparency. Everything is in the dark in this country, all right? So 2 things. We need to still take some of those state governors more, make them more accountable. We need to get them to publish accounts and do the right thing. Most of them, I mean, if not all of them, they collect something called security vote. And we're talking about some 500 million every month, some more. And that money is not accounted. It's just a black hole. Okay, so you can do whatever you want with that and nobody comes in. In fact, the entire budgets of the states, the entire money that's realized in the states, the entire money that they get from the federal government is totally unaccounted for in Nigeria today. All right. However, it must also be said that at the end of the day, the power of leadership, we're talking about leadership in Nigeria. We're not looking to the governor of Bauchi State or the governor of Bayelsa State to lead Nigeria. We're in this country called Nigeria together, you know, all of us in this entity, and that means something. That means that, you know, we have all keyed into a non-existent Nigerian dream. There ought to be a Nigerian dream, just as there's an American dream. And that American dream talks about freedom. It talks about the right to the pursuit of happiness. We haven't quite articulated anything of such in Nigeria. However, that doesn't mean that Nigeria is not what, you know, belonging to and working for, you know. So in talking about the Nigerian dream, the president is what matters, not the state governor. So it's the president that should articulate a vision. And that, you know, when you're talking about leadership, you talk about vision. It's the president that should articulate a vision for the people, for the youth of this country, to give them something to look forward to. Okay? Something to look forward to, something to be proud about. It's only the president. We will not be able to move that power and, you know, take it to a state governor. I must also say, as I've said as an economist, many times I see people tell me again, why don't you go to your state and contest for state governor? I say, listen, it's not like I'm looking for money, all right? It was about this going, you know, if I could, even though people also make the mistake, they think it's easy to win things at the state level or local government level. At those levels, it may even be much more difficult. And in fact, the little recognition that I've got now from one or two places, including someone like you calling me to come here, if all I did was contest for local government chairman or councillor somewhere and lost, I would be a nobody. My opinions will not even count. And you won't even come and call me and say, one guy that contested for local government chairman or state house of assembly somewhere and lost, who is he? But because I was able to try to get, you know, that platform, I knew I wasn't going to win the presidency. But I knew that that was the most important place to articulate a vision for the people of this country. A lot of people have the opinion that Nigeria should break up, you know. I think that it can still work. Of course, it's a very frustrating contraption to be in. And we have not done anything about our past, our fissions and the past misdemeanors that we have done against each other, including the civil war that happened. And, you know, it's been a case of tit for tat since the amalgamation of this country and, of course, our independence. It's a case of, oh, these people come, the president is from a certain area, he tries to benefit his people, and then he does one or two things against the other people, then those ones, then they come, they also retaliate on them. So this back and forth must end at some point. All right, so the president is very important, as much as those who work for him too should be. I mean, for example, at the level of ministers, if the president cannot control his ministers, if he cannot set targets for them, if he cannot follow up and put performance management in place to ensure that they do what they're supposed to do, if a president cannot even break ranks once in a while and move around the country to see what is happening, even to surveil over the state governors, is on his own. I have seen the president of China, Xi Jinping. If you went on YouTube and Google it, you will see where Xi Jinping goes to the villages of China. You know how big China is? Sometimes he will drive, he doesn't intimidate them. You know, in 3 cars, that's the president of perhaps the second most important country in the world, if not the most important. He will drive in a convoy of 3 cars on the hills of China. He will enter their rooms. He will taste their food, their pudding that they're eating. He will say, which water do you drink? They will fetch water from the well. He tasted the water. He said, this water has fluoride in it. He was not, and he asked the man one question, what do you want? The old man he met, some of them, he said, what do you want to, what are you looking forward to in life? And the man said, this is my house, I built it in the 50s, it's collapsing. I wish I could find money for a roof. When the president left there, what he does, you know, unlike us here, it's not like he went there to dash them money. When he left there, he gave, through the structure, he gave instruction. Because what they're trying to do in China is what they call targeted poverty eradication. So they want to know the problem of each household. They have data on each household. 1.4 billion people. They have data. They know that there are households that The problem they have is sickness. The father has diabetes, the mother has hypertension, and this and that. They know their household that the problem they have is illiteracy. So when they're sending people out from secretariat, from headquarters, they know exactly. They say, look, go to number 10, so house. You will see that this man, put it in your diary. That's what you work with. And don't give the person that needs drugs to heal their sickness, or they need a hospital. You go and give them education when they're already educated. So look at the way they have been able to do it, and that's China. In fact, they had a private sector-led approach in solving poverty in China, whereby they collaborate with some of the big companies. So what they do, they go to some of those places that are really poor, and the first thing they do, they build new houses. Some of them may be like high-risers, and some of them can be like, flats and so on. They relocate those people into those flats first. Look, we're not developing our human capital here. We're treating our people as rubbish. Oh, that's what we can see with this COVID now. That all of a sudden COVID came, we have no health centers, we have no education, 13 million, 14, 15 million children are on the streets, all right? We have no security, all the security are following big men and carrying their wives' bags up and down. We have no environment. 70% of Nigerians are still living in abject poverty and inside despicable environment. The UN rapporteur on housing was in Nigeria about 6 months ago, and she wrote that she found the worst case in the world, that 70% of Nigerians live in slums. Perhaps you don't know the meaning and the definition of slums. Some people live in slums here, they think they're in paradise. And however, when you get to now some places that people crawl out from, even in this Abuja where we live here, the lungus that people will crawl out from every morning, go to Maraba, go to Jikoyi, go to Nyanya, they go to Masaka, go to one man village, go to Giri, go to Gishiri, go to all the there are more than 300 ghettos in this Abuja here. And yet we build mansions that nobody is living in Metama, in Asokoro extension. Money's proceeds of corruption, and misused and misguided money in all of those places. All right. The President Lyndon Johnson, LB Johnson, he did what they call the poverty tour of America in the early 60s after the death of JF Kennedy. Even though Lyndon Johnson, I think, is a Texan, and people believe that he used to use the N-word a lot. People believe he was racist. But that man did a lot in carrying the torch forward from JF Kennedy. He did what they call a poverty tour, especially of the South of America. You could see where he was going there to evaluate things himself. There were white families that were proliferating, and they had, the man was a farmer, he had 20 children, and all of that. Everybody was in poverty. And that was even then, of course, the black families as well were documented. And that was how they were able to put in place things like food stamp, okay? Food stamp, Medicaid for all. You understand what I'm saying? Here, nobody cares. So when you have a president, even though I'm trying to be very conciliatory, I think our president is an old man. So let him just, whatever. Yeah, but okay, somebody like me, I contested, if anybody voted for me from among all of you that are here with me now, maybe Jerry. I think Jerry is my man. Sometimes, supports me. Otherwise, nobody cares what I say. Though I tried my best. You know what I'm saying? I tried my best, but nobody cares. So, but let me tell you, if the day we want to move on, we will understand that a leader is a very big responsibility that a leader has. Okay? We want an energetic leader. Listen, instead of our people, they will travel. When the going was good, they never stay in Nigeria. Are we not here today? When they are sick now, can they travel abroad? Even the ones with private jet, they can't travel abroad anymore. When things were okay, and we never thought that it will turn like this, they that are leading us, that should be the ones thinking for us, never thought for us. But every other month, they're abroad. I used to say, who is looking for Nigerian people everywhere in the world? If you're not in Norway, they're in Singapore. If you're not in Singapore, they're in Dubai, they're in Saudi Arabia, they're in London, they're in France. Who is looking for Nigeria? Is it not now obvious that nobody is looking for Nigerians anyway? Stay in your country. If our president took it as a duty to say, listen, I just want to know Nigeria. Today you're in Adamawa, tomorrow you're in Taraba, the next one you're in Kogi State, the next one you're in Cross River. The governors will sit up. It doesn't matter whether they're in your party or not. Sometimes you don't even have to announce to them. Sometimes say the president is coming. Those ones will start patching the road, painting the bridge. So that when the man comes, he doesn't even see there's a problem on hand. So that's how we have been deceiving ourselves. So it's cut both ways. We need leaders who understand the meaning of leadership. We need leaders who can be outside the box, act outside the box, think outside the box, do the things that they're not expected to do. We need leaders who are energetic. At the same time, of course, we not only focus on them. If our leader was trying, in fact, many times they will try to frustrate that leader. So what the leader should do, he should throw those people who are trying to frustrate him under the bus, throw them to the court of the people. If a leader is trying and they are frustrating him, there's nothing wrong. He comes and gives a talk and say, look, this is what I'm doing. Your governor in Kogi State, the guy is not doing his work. Then the people say, the president said the governor is not doing his work. Governor, see what the president said. As a matter of fact, also we need communication. And I'm going to end there. We need communication. Even though our president is very taciturn, he doesn't like talking to us. Well, that is it. But the standard we should establish at that level should be that there's nothing wrong if a president speaks to his people once in a month at least. Nothing wrong in that. COVID or no COVID, even in good time, once a month, even once in 2 weeks. There's nothing wrong if a governor speaks to his people every week or even every day. There's nothing wrong. So tune to our radio channel, our government radio. Every government has a radio, has a TV. Tune to that. I'm going to just give you maybe for just 10 minutes. They can even put it on Facebook Live or this YouTube Live. The governor should be able to do it. My people, I'm going to be on YouTube Live. I'm going to be on Facebook Live. Join me as I'm driving around, inspecting projects, badging it off. Look at the president of Dubai, the ruler of Dubai. One day, as rich as those people are, it's a sheikh. One day he just walked in, he started to move from one ministry to the other. When he got there at 9 o'clock, some of them were not, they said, sack all of these people that I've not seen there. The next day, everybody sat up. So that's the burden of leadership. Thank you, sir.
And in fact, you have covered two of my other questions, so that suits me very well. Very quickly, Mr. Austin, are you with us?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Austin.
I am.
And if in the play, there was this aspect which talks about they cannot kill all of us because they need us to rule us. Because they need us to rule us, so they cannot kill all of us. So my question to you is, like Mr. Tope just mentioned, there is need for us to continue to talk about these things until the right thing gets done. I mean, beyond talking about it, beyond writing, just as you have done, which has given us a platform for this discussion, what else do we need to do as Nigerians to demand transparency and ensure that our leaders are accountable to us?
Thank you. Clearly, we must continue to engage. We must continue to engage our leaders. We must continue to speak out. We must continue to talk. We won't ask anybody to take laws into their hands, no. But you must, within democratic and within legal means, continue to express your opinion. And we must raise the discussion to the level where our people realize that, I mean, okay, let me draw an analogy for you. I'm on a platform, one of the social group platforms, and where a public office holder came to, during this COVID period, and says he's doing palliative to support the people, and that he was going to use X amount of money. And the people on the platform said, as big as he is in office, that's that little small amount of money he's using. And I said to them, guys, that's how it starts. That's how it starts. You place demands on them, or reasonable demands on them. Then when the chicken comes to roost, you begin to complain. Now, the first thing shouldn't we have asked ourselves that these people who are in public office, who are holding public office, and they are personally I'm not saying out of so-called social service, providing food for communities now. Essential, yes. We where did they resource? Because the logic is this: the guy who fits today, come 2023, you're obligated to him for voting. The same thing that talk about vote was on naira in 2019 to vote. What you're suffering, that's what you're suffering in COVID right now. That 5,000 naira translates to the health center, translates to the facility that should be in place, security and all of that. So people have said, and the politicians like to quote this a lot, a followership gets the kind of leadership they deserve. I don't agree. I don't agree, because leadership is symbol, is influence. When you lead people, you influence them, you direct them, you channel their energies. It's influence. Take the example to give of what the Chinese president does, and he goes around the village. That's a very strong symbol. He's not going to go around all the villages in China, but because he goes impromptu, unannounced, you don't know where he's going to show up the next day. So even if he doesn't come to my village, I know there is a possibility this cash give us that word automatic alacrity in our grammar. He will show up in ministries, and if you're not there, boom, anybody who draws the line and the attendance register. And if if your name falls below that line, you have query, you have questions to answer. But when you are office, we know that single-handedly you can't do the job. That's why you also allowed constitutionally to make appointments. But you can only delegate responsibility, and you can delegate authority. You cannot delegate responsibility. So whatever those guys do comes back to you as president. Fine. However, when we have all these people in place, what do we do about them? There's a very strong statement which is very true. My friend, Jerry is my friend today, he's in government. It's time for me to enjoy. And while I'm enjoying, all our enemies don't enjoy. So when we leave, the next person comes, they enjoyed yesterday. We are now, they point to this COVID crisis. That's an agency of government responsible for changing the way Nigerians think. I presume there's an annual budget that goes to that office. But if I ask you and say, name one aspect of our life for the past 20 years, the National Orientation Agency has mobilized us to change or to make a shift in. Name one. You can't, I can't. But that agency exists. Now we're talking about life. We're talking about hygiene. The problems we suffer in the Lassa fever, malaria, cholera, fundamental things, proper hygiene and proper provision of facilities for people to live like human beings will deal with these things. So you say, how do we engage our people? We must continue to engage. We must continue to talk. We can't afford to keep quiet. If you can write, write. If you can talk, talk. If you can engage physically, thank God for the things that they do. The reality is, if you keep quiet, then all hope is lost. So the critical thing for our people to realize, you cannot take that money from that politician, all right? And I make a simple analysis. If your guy running for your local government, your house of rep in your area, mid-state or whatever, and everybody in the community places a demand on him, and he wants that. And when he wants to recoup that, what will happen? So public office has become an investment. Politics is the largest industry in Nigeria that we know. It's the largest industry. So everybody will do whatever they can to get into office. That's why it becomes a decision from every 4 years cycle. What should we, the people, do? We need to go back to those things that humanizes us. Because the truth of the matter is, when you lose the fabric of your humanity, then there is a crisis. Back in the 70s in school, there was a subject called moral instructions. I tell people growing up as a little boy here in Lagos, in a bus, you stand up for the elder and allow the elder sit. But we threw moral instruction away from our books. We don't teach them anymore. And then we expect children to have morals. So we dump everything on the teachers and on the parents and or whatever. The same parents who grew up without morals are expected to moralize their children. So in reality, what we have sown to the wind and we are reaping wild wind. So we must realize as a people that, look, some people say we are one of the most religious countries in the world. We taught the world to pray. But where is the manifestation that on a Sunday morning? Why is that so? Everybody's in church. The roads are free. So when we come out of church on Sunday and we hit the road, meanwhile, patience is a virtue for the Christian. So in reality, as a government, as a people, we need to come to a point where we say to ourselves that the essence, what's the essence of our humanity? What's the what's the value of a Nigerian people we as a nation lost in the war against Boko Haram? Nobody cares to tell us the numbers. They die, like as if they don't belong to families, as if the soldiers drop from the sky, as if we know the day we know how many soldiers we have lost, Boko Haram will wipe us out. We must treat people as people and not just as numbers. We see how when that they deploy around those soldiers, irrespective of rank. But we have, how many of our men have fallen in the line of duty? Nobody tells us. So they can die like ants or mosquitoes or whatever. It doesn't matter. But they are fathers, they are brothers, they come from families, they are sons. They have wives, they have children, they have parents, they have uncles, they have brothers and sisters. They have neighbors who know them. People don't have closures on any issue. Yet you keep talking about. See, the whole thing, what we can, unfortunately, we find ourselves in a position where clearly leadership has failed us as a people. You know, because leadership shapes followership. Leadership shapes followership. Like I tell, the greatest indication of failure of leadership is when a leader says that a people get the leader they deserve. That means there's nothing you can do to improve the value, because you're coming out as a leader in the first place means you have, so to say, superior values you want to impact on society. I can take with the people and ahead of the people in the same instant. You're with them and ahead of them. With them because you experience what they experience, and ahead of them because you can take them to their dreams. But when you abandon that as a leader, then what else are we going to say? So clearly, people are hampered. People are hamstrung in the sense that what can you do? Continue to engage, continue to talk, and like they say in Nigeria, continue to pray, continue to pray, continue to engage, do what you can. Because again, now you're a little light, because again, I don't make light of it. We have also always thought that El Dorado is somewhere else. But in a very, very, very honest sense, the light you light, the candle you light and the candle I light, and the candle he lights and she lights, mightified. In history, anywhere, it starts with one individual. Every change movement starts with one person. One person conceives it.
Okay, I think we are stuck. Okay,
So
I like
in
to
Nigeria,
thank
in governance, in leadership, are pretenders. Because at the end of the day, this of the people. Okay, if you can see me. You can see me. I can't hear you anymore.
yes, yeah. Okay, I'd like to thank Mr. Austin, not for giving us gifting us a play that speaks to our situation, but also participating in these engagements. I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank Mr. Tope. But let me close with this message from Israel. I don't know why he chose to send it to me, but I'll just quickly read it. He says, finally, going by what I am listening to this evening, I am not giving up on Nigeria again. I am not giving up on Nigeria again, which means he has given up before. So what he's saying, I am not giving up on Nigeria again. I see that there are people with great minds, and I just hope we are not just good at speaking alone, but in acting and doing and getting it right when given the opportunity. My hope is that governments Okay, my hope is that government offices will be handled like every other private sector offices, where your output, your efficiency is taken. I'm not saying that. Okay. All right, I think I'll just end it there. I got it mixed up from this end. I mean, that's the mind of Israel about this engagement. And like we said, it's also been live streamed, and we are going to make sure that we'll circulate it widely so that those who are not able to join us, of course, can get to look at it again. So I want to thank Jamila, who has left by now. I want to thank Dr. Shola Adeyemi, all the way from the UK, Dr. Jack, who has also joined, Chima. Those who have joined and left for whatever reason, I wouldn't know, but we want to appreciate you. I mean, this is just our own little way of keeping up the conversation. Like I mentioned at the beginning, this is one of two places we are deploying in the Makato Foundation project, which is aimed at creating awareness about the damaging consequences of corruption on our society and how to ensure that as citizens, we can begin to demand accountability from government and ensure that there is transparency. I mean, we were still taking the place around tertiary institution when COVID-19 chanced on us and we are all locked down. So we felt like instead of just sitting at home and doing nothing, let us see what we can do online. And so by the time the lockdown is lifted and we return to our normal life, maybe in 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, and we're also able to open the theater, this place will still continue to engage with people within the North Central. And if we have partners who are willing, we can also take it beyond the North Central at the moment. Holding Talk is, like I mentioned, is a twice-a-week issue. And so next week, we are moving to another guest. But this time around, we are strictly staying within the theater industry. No, there's no how we will not delve into Nigeria issue, but we are dealing with capacity building this time around when we shall be having Mr. Makinde Adeniran as our guest, and we'll be talking about adaptation techniques. That is moving from pages to stages or screens. How, for instance, I can pick up one of Mr. Tope Fasua's books and decide to adapt it for television or for stage, to keep up the conversation. That's what we are going to be dealing with next week, Saturday, with Mr. Makinde Adeniran. Once again, I want to say thank you. We do really appreciate your time. Even those who have left, we did. Those who sent messages that palliative, there's not enough palliative to help them buy data to stay online. We also appreciate you because you have a mind to be here, but just couldn't make it. So thank you once again. At the end of this session, we shall share the YouTube link and keep up the conversation. Looking forward to see you some other time. Thank you. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Austin. Fasua, thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. You don't come out since.
Thank you. We shall talk in private very soon. Thank you.
Okay.
Really appreciate it.
All right, sir.
Thank you. Bye.